Hey there, everyone. Welcome back to Life 3030, or if you're here for the first time, welcome to the channel. So you can see that the name of this is If Charlie Adelson's Trial Was Tallahassee's Super Bowl, which sporting event will Donna Adelson's get compared to? Now, so if you remember in the jailhouse calls that I think it was after his conviction, Charlie mentioned to Donna that this was such a big deal. It was basically the Super Bowl of Tallahassee, and amongst other things, like saying that Georgia's closing arguments was like a 2020 or whatever he mentioned as far as that was he said, oh, it's just like one of those crime show speeches where it just gives all the information. Yeah, that's true. It gave all the information about why you're guilty, Charlie, and in turn why your mum is also guilty. So of course I've stayed on this title card for long enough. Let's get into this and sort of see what the meat of this is all about. So you'll remember the first trial, which was Sigfredo and Katie. Now, in that trial, if we're going to be saying that Charlie's was the Super Bowl, let's look at what this one could be. Now, you remember in this one we had Sigfredo and Lewis as their long-term friends, basically friends since childhood, and Lewis had turned on Sigfredo and decided that he was going to give up the information. So thinking about that, this is what I've come up with. Now, these two players here are in the NRL in Australia. This is two players from the team Manly Sea Eagles. Now, every week in, week out throughout the season, these two guys are mates. However, we have this event which is called the State of Origin. It is one of the world's biggest events. If you don't believe me, there's a video on Watch Mojo, who, even though that's an American-based show, will talk about how this annual sporting event is one of the biggest in the world. It's one of the most loved and one of the most brutal. It's marketed as mate against mate or state before mate. And what it's based on is the fact that you have those people who were born or started their rugby league careers in Queensland up against people who were born or started their rugby league careers in New South Wales. So as I said, they can be on the same team during the week, but when it comes to the State of Origin, and this is a 3-match series that happens in the middle of the season, they turn on each other. And that's what it is. So based on that, when you look at this is, these are guys who play on each other's teams, but they just, it's a fierce encounter. State of Origin, you just put your friendships away and you fight each other. So because the first case was, mate against mate, I'm calling that trial Tallahassee's State of Origin. Now, of course, we saw the retrial of Katie, which happened afterwards. Now, what's that going to be? What's that Tallahassee's major sporting event? Well, we've got the tennis, of which we see the Grand Slam events like the Australian Open, Roland Garros, the French one, or the championship, Wimbledon, the original tennis match, and of course the US Open, which is on at the moment. But I'm putting it as the Kappelman versus Magbanua match. It was Tallahassee's Wimbledon final. It's the women's Wimbledon final. Sorry for the really, really bad photoshopping here, but I don't want to spend too much time. This is all about jokes, not about perfection. So if Charlie Adelson's trial was Tallahassee Super Bowl, which sporting event would Donna Adelson's get compared to? Or look, I love this title card that I made. I thought that it was really good. Yes, I had to flip Donna's face the other way to be facing off against Georgia. I really, really wanted to use this one, but it just didn't fit right. It just didn't fit nicely on the on the body of that player. So let's just get rid of Donna anyway, because the Super Bowl reference was all about Charlie. This is Tallahassee Super Bowl. And yes, I've included the Florida State team versus the Miami team that they play each other in college. I don't know too much about college football, but yeah, look at the look on Charlie's face. It's I don't know. It's funny. But again, I ask. So if Charlie's was the Super Bowl of Tallahassee, what is Donna's one going to be? Now, the Olympics. We've just had the Olympics and we've got the Paralympics on at the moment. It's a major, major sport and event, and considered by many the second biggest sporting event in the world. Yes, even though every country is invited, it's only still the second biggest sporting event in the world. And of course, the biggest event at that has to be the 100-meter sprint, the men's 100-meter sprint. So I'm calling Donna's the Tallahassee Olympic 100-meter sprint final. And just like that final, which is run and done and it's over and done within no time at all, I'm just hoping that this does not drag out. I'm hoping that we just get a quick verdict. We've been through a lot of this stuff before. We don't need to be having all the same bullshit this time. Daniel Rashbottom, I'm looking at you. And look, I put Judge Everett in there. I know he's not on the side of anyone, but look at that smiling face. He is a character, and glad to have him back for round two, or for the 100-meter sprint final. So let's look at all these events. They're all good. They're all fine. Whether you're thinking about that 100-meter sprint final, or Tallahassee Super Bowl, Tallahassee's Wimbledon, or Tallahassee State of Origin, there's one event that we're all looking forward to. Now, if Charlie Adelson's trial was Tallahassee Super Bowl, which sporting event will Wendi Adelson's be compared to? What's that? What's that, Wendi? Sorry? Huh? Look at that face. Huh? What are you talking about? The state's not going to arrest me. So anyway, I was thinking about it. Is it going to be Tallahassee's Indy 500, where maybe pit lane, pit lane that you got to drive really slow in. But let's say, I reckon if Wendi was a racing car driver, she'd go down pit lane and then her team would say, why did you go down pit lane? You've got to drive very slow down there. She goes, I thought it's a shortcut. Pit lane's always a shortcut. If you think about it, it's a shortcut. Like, I couldn't even go down pit lane because pit lane was blocked off. There was like this caution tape up. I think there was like a flag that was waving, so I couldn't even go down pit lane. But if I went down pit lane, it would have been because it was a shortcut. But I didn't even see anyone down there. There was no one. There wasn't even tape there. But I couldn't go down there because there was tape. So I thought a tree had fallen down in pit lane. I imagine that would be what she'd be telling her team. Yes. I forgot that I made this card. I've actually gave the punchline before I showed this card. I should have done that. Yes, pit lane shortcut. Now, could it be Tallahassee's Cricket World Cup? Do you know that is actually one of the biggest world events? It easily makes the top 10 with over 1 billion people in India. Like, it's more of a religion to Indian people than it is to than their actual religion is. It is a massive sort of event. And wouldn't you love to see Wendi dismissed? I know the irony of the team that I'm showing there in orange. They look like they're in orange prison suits, and really, Wendi, love to see Wendi wearing the orange prison suit. But yeah, as an Aussie and with our, rivalry with New Zealand, it was kind of good to use that shot. Look at that face. She's dismissed. She's out. Although I hope that she gets locked in. But here's the biggest sporting event in the world. You know it, I know it. The rest of the world calls it football. The smarter people call it soccer. The Football World Cup, the FIFA World Cup. And in 2026, the FIFA World Cup, it's going to be in America. And I'd love to see in 2026, not only would I like to see hopefully the Socceroos up there playing against, hey, let's see, Socceroos versus the American men, the United States soccer team. Why not? Let's go for that for the final. But failing that, my next biggest event, I'd love to see Wendi face up against Jeff Lacasse. And when we hold up that at the end of her trial, when she gets a guilty, we have Georgia and Sarah Catherine and Ruth and Phil and Shelley. They'll be holding that trophy up high, because Wendi really is the prize that they're after, and it's going to happen. So yeah, it's only, what is it now, less than 2 weeks, or just on 2 weeks out from the trial, and hopefully, as I said, it's quick, it's over and done with, and we get an arrest of Wendi as soon as possible. And yeah, don't forget to like and subscribe. I think last time I had the comments switched off because I may have said, accidentally ticked, this is for kids. I normally mark it as not for kids. That way it doesn't get shown to kids. And hopefully, Wendi's kids don't get a chance to see this sort of thing. I'm sure there'll be a lot of viewing for them when her actual trial happens, and I'm sure they'll be tuning in to watch that whole thing. But until then, let's hope that they're staying away from most of the things on YouTube. And yeah, so anyway, I'm going to not flag this one, or hopefully I didn't flag this one for Safe for Children. So any comments, I'd be keen to know what you think Donna's trial would be, what sporting event that would be, or Wendi, if you disagree with me, if you don't think that they're going to be the events, like they're not going to be the World Cups, they're not going to be the 100 sprint, you tell me what you think. Give me some ideas, and until we talk again, this is Life 3030, a part of the Justice for Dan network, and yep, things are really, really heating up at the moment. Loving the work of Judy, AA Legal Focus, loving the work of Fancy Fiction, Brother Counsel. I've been seeing his stuff, absolutely fantastic. Of course, the OG. We've got Deep Dive True Crime, or Mentor Lawyer, still in there, and I'm sure he'll be the one with all the great streaming. Just keep Dan's name out there, and we're going to get justice for Dan. I know it. And Wendi, they're coming for you. You can't hide. So like and subscribe. Until we talk again, thanks for watching, and see you next time.